It was 1989 and I was 15 years old. I had been living on my own since I was 13 years old and had built up some good wealth for myself. I had my own car, my own place, and some good money coming in daily, weekly, and monthly. My friends were also making good money, and the popular thing of the time was wearing sports hats, starter jackets of different sports teams, and either Nike Cortez or British Knights shoes. I had frequent visitors and parties were a regular occurrence. I had recently moved to a better area because the last house had been in a drive-by during a birthday party, and I wanted to move. The new place was a 2-floor, 3-bedroom house at the end of a cul-de-sac. When you walked in the front door, there was a long hallway that you could either veer to the right and go upstairs, go straight ahead to the kitchen, or turn a sharp left and go straight into the living room. The living room had a large picture window with heavy curtains in the back of the room facing onto the street, while in the front of the room was my entertainment center, which had a large cabinet with a massive television sitting on top of it. Next to it in the cabinet was first a turntable to play vinyl records, under that was a dual cassette player, under that was the CD player, and then the equalizer was under that. This is important to know for later. I had recently bought a black leather couch that was in front of the large window. This was for company, but I preferred to sit on the lazy boy chair off to the side of the television so I could put my feet up and enjoy popcorn on a movie night if I wanted. Today I was watching Sally Jessy Raphael, and as usual Sally was trying to keep control of a crowd that was increasingly hostile towards the guest. God, I love the trash TV era. I slumped down in my lazy boy chair and reclined back, drinking my soda and enjoying my bag of still popping Orville Redenbacher popcorn. I always take it out of the microwave or off the stove 30 seconds earlier than they say. If not, it burns and the smell floats through the house for days. The guests on the Sally Show began arguing amongst each other and it became hard to hear. I took my remote and turned on the entertainment center and linked the volume on the TV to its speakers. I now had surround sound. I settled back in the chair and put my feet up, satisfied that I was truly having a night in for once. No parties, no drop-in guests, no one. Well, at least that's what I thought. When the next commercial break came, I could hear the revving of an engine and the sound of a car approaching. This is a damn good surround sound system, I congratulated myself. Once the Sally Show came on, the sound persisted. What in the hell is going on, I wondered. The sound got louder and was approaching the back of the room. I looked back and through the window could see the bright shimmer of the headlights on a car coming closer and closer. The sound of the engine was getting closer and closer. Wait just a second, that car was heading right toward me. I jumped off my lazy boy and moved out of the way just in time for the car to come screaming through the picture-board window, into the living room and slid to a stop, abruptly halting right in front of the entertainment center. The light from the headlights stared forward at the Sally Show on my television, and the room started filling with exhaust smoke. I stood in horror, looking at the gaping hole where my window was and where a pile of rubble, the open air, and a 2-door 1972 Buick Electra 225 now resided. I stood transfixed as if under a spell until I saw some slight movement in the car. Before that movement, I wasn't sure if the car had a driver or if this was some killer car from all those early 80s movies I'd seen. This car had a driver. The driver's side door creaked open and out slouched its driver. It was a guy a little taller than me, wearing a LA Kings baseball hat, Louisiana Kings starter jacket, and black Dickie pants and khaki-colored work boots to top it off. Taking a second look, I realized it was my friend Colin and immediately flew into a rage while confronting him in the ruins of my living room. He had attempted to calm me by offering a meek statement of, "Hey man, you all right?" I exploded in anger, gesturing to the wreckage he'd brought upon me and that I was pretty damn far from being okay, and that he's insane for having the stupidity to come into my house with his car. He attempted to explain that he'd lost control and that there was something wrong with the steering column and it led to the car veering off. He said that he would never try to endanger my life because after all we were best friends. This enraged me even further, to which I said I don't know if I can befriend guys that drive an entire Buick in through the living room. At one point, he had the audacity to shoot back, "I told you it was a mistake. My first thing was to check on you. I don't know what's wrong with you." My eyes were so wide with shock I thought they might pop out of my head. "Check on me?" I raged. What's wrong with me is that there is a car in my fucking living room, Colin, and you were driving it. That's what's wrong. We carried on, yelling and hollering over each other until midway through what was going to be a fistfight, we both started coughing uncontrollably. Looking around, we realized that the room was filling with more exhaust smoke, the engine of the Buick still idling away in the background. That engine purred so softly it was as quiet as a sewing machine, but it pushed out a lot of exhaust. And if we didn't want to die from carbon monoxide poisoning, we needed to get out of the room, and fast. We both stepped around the Buick, over the rubble and through the gaping hole where the window once was, and dodged the arm-length shards of glass hanging everywhere. I looked back and saw Sally was wrapping up her show and the familiar music started to play. If I'd not turned back when I did and paid attention, I most assuredly could have been killed. Giving a more detailed look from the outside, I could see the skid mark trail that the Buick made as it went through the wooden fence onto the front lawn and through the living room front window. It was at an angle, and from that I could see Colin had tried to protect me from harm. I looked at him and he was looking in the distance and back at me. "You really think I was trying to kill you?" It was both a question and a refutation wrapped in one. "No, I don't think you were. I was just angry. We're lucky we got out of there." I gestured towards my now ruined house. We had to walk up the street to a payphone at the Shell gas station to call someone and have them get down there. The neighbors were looking at us inquisitively while some shook their heads. The more I and Colin explained what happened, the more questions the police and paramedics asked. The ambulance driver said I looked like I was in shock. Perhaps I needed trauma counseling and that I shouldn't be standing. To our surprise, we were both briefly placed under arrest and put into squad cars while the whole scene was investigated. Once complete, the officers uncuffed us and referred to this as one of the strangest freak accidents they'd ever seen. I and a few friends had to gather the lump sum to get that hole fixed because neither AAA nor my house protection policy would cover what they were calling a freak accident tantamount to an act of God. Since then, Colin and I have been able to laugh about that night, but at the time it was both upsetting and scary. That no one was seriously injured is a miracle in and of itself. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell for more great stories, and give the video a like.